Hi, I'm Admiral Teague. Welcome. Recently, my crew and I watched and reviewed Season 3, Episode 8 of Star Trek Enterprise. It's called Twilight. The episode shows us a grim alternate timeline 12 years into the future, created when the NX-01 encounters a series of spatial anomalies in the opening segment. In this timeline, it's T'Pol who's captain of the Enterprise, and later caretaker to an injured Archer, who is hurt rescuing her and can now no longer form long-term memories. 12 years later, Phlox has discovered that he can restore the timeline by destroying the interdimensional creatures who've set themselves up inside Archer's brain, but he needs the power of a starship to do it. The Enterprise, now captained by Trip, pitches in to help. Phlox is on the verge of ridding Archer of the interdimensional parasites that caused all of this and restoring the timeline when the Xindi attack. If the timeline is to be restored, friendship, loyalty, and sacrifice must meet at the final frontier. Don't worry, it's not really time travel, but it might be all good things yesterday's Enterprise and the deadly years mixed together with a few action-packed twists. So relax, prepare to hear some passionate reviewers, hit those like and follow buttons, and consider joining the conversation by leaving me a comment about this. And now, here's the review. Okay, JT Kirk, what did you think of the episode Twilight of Star Trek Enterprise?
This is not the most science fiction-y story ever told. It is a time travel story, but it doesn't get over its skis with weird logic and all kinds of craziness on that. To that point, I think it does tell a relationship story, but also kind of keeps it in the frame of the overall Xindi arc in a very balanced way. It is never slow. It is never overly preoccupied with a B story or anything like that. And I think that we should give this story credit for that much. There's a little bit more action than what we've been accustomed to in most of these episodes, which is, again, fine. Sometimes it's a welcome diversion. And we got to see some ships that we really haven't seen before on the Federation side, especially. Which kind of builds out the world. We see the NX-01. I always questioned, well, why is this ship so experimental? What else besides the engine, right? What else have you been using all this time with, the Earth Defense Forces or whatever you'd like to call this before, becomes Federation Starfleet. So we see stuff like the Intrepid. I just think that's cool to see what other primitive designs might have been out there. I can't tell you if maybe that was an alternative sketch at some point of the ship they might have used in the show. Who knows? Who knows, right? But cool design nonetheless. I do have some questions about whether their tactics were good.
I'm not sure what to do with the others. Blow them out the airlock.
With Trip, attacking those ships and doing what he did, but hey, it doesn't really detract from the episode. So I would give this a rating of an A-. It's a good watch. Yeah. It's a good watch. It's not the best Star Trek story ever told.
Can't all be Section 31.
And I did like the relationship play between T'Pol and Archer that wasn't overly sexualized, and they didn't have to make out every 3 seconds or cry on each other's shoulder every conversation. I did like to see a Vulcan, a feminine Vulcan being a caretaker. I thought it was an angle that we have not seen before because Vulcans are so often portrayed as men on Star Trek. So it was a facet of Vulcans that is plausible, believable. I don't think it ruins continuity. It piqued my interest. So yeah, A-.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And Sigvaldsson gave the best comment. Like, ironically, the best one is like, I don't recall this episode. That it was designed that way, right?
Okay.
So thank you so much, JT.
Yep.
I will
I'm
beam
gonna
you
take
down
off
to
here.
the
Yep.
northern part of the planet. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Bye.
See you,
thank you,
JT.
everyone. See you, chat.
See you,
group.
JT.
All right. Jerem, I guess go next. Go for it. Your thoughts on this episode?
There's nothing really wrong with the episode. It said there's a lot of action. We get to see some ships. The story itself is just a bit much for me to grab onto. I give them credit for the unique way they went about time travel, but other than that, the story is kind of just a bit too fuzzy for me.
Is
So-
it time travel, or is it just, we because we
Yeah.
travel time 1 minute at a time? It's an alternate future, has been like timeline 1A is what I always like to talk about. Like
Yeah.
with Star Trek 4, in the real timeline, the planet gets destroyed. But in
Yeah.
timeline that was created by Kirk going back in time, there's an Earth, which has repercussions.
It's a rather unique way to go about time travel, but still time travel and still a little bit too fuzzy for my liking. That's my
They
only
had worked-
problem with it.
Okay.
I don't know how they
So-
could have worked it out any better though, but and you realize probably 5 minutes in exactly how this is going to end. So it's very predictable. I had to downgrade it a little bit. I give it a B.
It's still passing. It's not in trouble. B's a respectable grade. An A minus was what JT gave it, so it's not really taking a tumble. Sean, we have gotten to your turn to rate this episode of Star Trek Enterprise. We have an A minus and a B on the table so far. What's your thought?
I give it like a kind of an A minus. I would say like a 92. It gets a good grade from me. I will only take a little issue with the term time travel because we didn't really travel through time. That parasite just kind of was in another dimension-y type of thing, and at least I give them credit for being creative with a time-related story, though. You can call it time travel if you want, but at least it was a little bit unique. And I liked the little thing they threw in there. When he zapped that one parasite, it removed it from all the other pictures. That was kind of cool. I did take a little bit of an issue in that Tucker should have. I wish they would have made him fully supporting Archer, but he did. He's like, no, I'm sorry, Captain. I got these things in front. You should know that they showed him the evidence. It should have been all he needed to help Captain Archer, especially given that it would have made all that stuff not happen. I'm thinking back to All Good Things when Picard was so well loved by the crew, they trusted him in any timeline. And it should have been the same here. But minor gripe, it gets like a 92 from me. And that's my only minor gripe. But I enjoyed it. It was creative. They did their best to give something science fiction in the middle of the arc, and they worked they worked at least a decent science fiction style story to fit within the whole Xindi arc. And I like that. Those are my favorite episodes in this arc when they do something different to tell something science fiction than the overall story of the Xindi. And good episode. And I do. The last thing I really do like you. Was it JT said that I like that they showed the adoration between Archer and T'Pol without having them get all sucky face and kissy, and all she said was our relationship has evolved. Doesn't necessarily mean it's physical or sexual, but you can tell it's deeply emotional, and I like that.
Something maternal happened in her taking care of Archer
it's a
or
very
something.
sweet type of thing that they did to express it, and she Jolene Blaylock was really good in this episode.
I never expressed my gratitude for what you did.
I got
I
it.
think she really teetered on the edge of showing emotion. Like, it's hard to play a Vulcan, and this is how you do it. You don't do it with the way Ethan Peck does.
He's like 75% Romulan. All right, let me just go on this one really quick. I enjoyed the episode Twilight. I thought it was really good. I thought Jolene's performance was really, really good. I enjoyed DePaul. I enjoyed DePaul's outfit. I enjoyed when we had her showing affection for Archer. The overall story did not really make sense. How did the anomaly give him parasites? You know?
True. It's a little weird, but
they couldn't beam him out of there?
No, they said they could. It wasn't affected by anything. It was like it wasn't there.
I mean, the sci-fi creature was good enough, but the way he ends up with it it's a little dumb. But I did enjoy this episode, and I thought the performances were strong enough for me to also give it. I can't leave Germ all the way out there on his own. I'll give it a B+.
Oh, Admiral, I went ahead and starred the comments from the chat that are kind of grading and giving their thoughts on the episode if you wanted to read them.
Could you start reading them? Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
As I type.
All right. We'll start here with Sig Valdison says, thanks for the episode. You're welcome. Thanks for being here. Daniel's Hot Topics says, this is a great episode. One of my favorites. A- for me as well.
It's pretty good.
Then Istophobos, really nice comment. A+++, and here's why. I was only slightly paying attention during the screening, and now I actually want to watch this. That is something only one episode of Enterprise has actually done. Istophobos, what was that episode? If you remember the name of it, I'd be interested to know what that is.
I mean, I can see how you could have pointed to several things in this episode that were a little dumb.
I don't want to be a beggars can't be choosers because like I adore original Star Trek, but that had a lot of campy and corny and real over the top stuff too. So I think it's okay to accept a little bit of that in more recent stuff too. I can put it aside because I enjoyed some of the weird things in the TOS too.